It is Thursday, everyone. I'm Andrew Dow. Time for our Happening in the Hamptons podcast, our weekly breakdown of the Hamptons market, new listings, and events on the East End. We are sponsored by New York Title Abstract, the Hamptons' leading title insurance firm. Visit NewYorkTitle.com. Steve Glick, Dave Rotiner, and today, return guest, Drew Green. Welcome back. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
It's beautiful out. It's the time of year. I mean, like, it feels like the season. I feel like I've waited a long time to say that because it's just like the winter's so long. But here we are. Yep. We got beautiful weather. The houses are looking great. The pools are open. The trees are in bloom. Everything's looking good. The unmistakable sound of lawnmowers and leaf blowers going relentlessly is all about. But let's talk a little bit about the market. What do we have to cover today? We're going to talk about the market. We got a couple listings for you, Drew. So we'll get to all that in just a little bit. But let's just talk a little bit about, we're wrapping up the first quarter, heading into Q2. Steve, you can probably talk a little bit more about this. We're waiting to release the official numbers.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of market reports coming out for the first quarter numbers. If anyone's looking on the Saunders site and trying to see what the Saunders report looks like, that is coming out next week. So be on the lookout for that. Why we wait 6 weeks after the market closes? Because we just want to make sure, after the quarter closes, because we just want to make sure that all numbers are recorded. The longer you wait, the more listings get recorded with the town, right? So we wait 6 weeks, then that's when we pull the numbers and we post a report. So we're pulling them tomorrow, actually, and it will be posted by next Wednesday on our website. But for preliminary numbers from the others that are reporting, it did look like a positive in the dollar volume, transactions, and median price, all increasing. So it was good numbers to see across the board. But for the full report, be on the lookout for that next week.
And Drew, what are you seeing from your perspective? I mean, how's the market? How's your outlook? We're heading into the summer, which is great. Second quarter, how's business?
I think business is looking up. I think the interesting thing on real estate in general is that with the stock market going through its ebbs and flows over the last few months, real estate, I think, actually has become quite appealing in the sense that with the stock market going up and down, I think a lot of people, and I've seen this in the past, where people want to put their money into tangible items like real estate. For example, when the stock market was roaring, everybody would assume, okay, the real estate market should be tearing it up. The reality is, I think that a lot of customers and clients were saying, well, why would I want to take my money out of the stock market when it's doing so well? Why would I want to put it into real estate?
That's so interesting, yeah.
So
wow.
The reality is that what I've seen in years past is that when the stock market goes through its downturns at times, real estate sometimes becomes a safe bastion for people's money. So I'm very bullish on the real estate market right now.
If you think about it, real estate is like a bond, or it's like a super safe stock market investment. But
if you're talking the Hamptons,
you have the asset.
I mean?
Well, Hamptons real estate is
Hamptons.
what I mean. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The reality is they're not making any more of it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a finite product.
But it's interesting what you're saying about something that you can hold and is real. You know what I mean? I think that when you look at things like Bitcoin or the stock market, it's like it's so volatile and you can't touch it. It's just something that you kind of look at on a computer screen.
Right.
And there is a safety feeling to having real estate that I feel a lot.
Right.
Do you feel that way about? Like, do you think other people
Absolutely.
feel that way? Yeah.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Are NFTs still a thing? No, I'm just kidding.
No. Oh, God. Remember when we were talking about that?
That was like...
The office was just crazy about it. People were buying NFTs. Oh, God.
Stick to what we know, right? And that's real estate. Speaking of real estate being a finite item, Drew, they're not making any more land. They're not, if you want to build in a certain area and there's a house there, you either got to knock it down or modify it. But you have a couple lots on Noyak Path that really represent a wonderful opportunity for somebody that wants something fresh, something new, and is available. So what do you got?
Yeah, it's an estate sale. The properties are 120, 126, 150, and 170 Noyak Path. The parcels range in size from 1 to 2 acres.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice
two
location.
of the parcels overlook a big 57-acre field.
Checking all the boxes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, checking
This
all the
is an
boxes.
unbelievable location for land. So rare.
Three of the 4 parcels have room for tennis, and the 4th parcel, the 1 acre parcel, has room for pickle. We have contracts out currently on 2 of the parcels, 170 and 120 Noyak Path, but the other 2 parcels remain available, and it ain't a deal until the contract gets signed. So
I hear you.
then, in reality, they're all still available.
That 126 looks like a nice offering. I mean, you got 2 full acres.
Yeah.
There's the reserve you can
Yeah,
you're overlooking
and,
there.
and some people actually like it for the house that's currently on there. There is a mid-century modern home, modestly sized home, about 2,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house designed by somebody who trained under I.M. Pei, who was the architect who did the addition to the Louvre Museum in Paris. It's a really cool house. It's the most symmetrical house I've ever seen. You got the common living spaces all in the middle of the house, and on the 4 corners are 3 bedrooms and the kitchen. It's incredibly
So is
symmetrical.
someone keeping that house, or are they?
I've
gonna
had
take
parties interested
Or are
in
they
it.
gonna
Certainly
take it
from
away?
from development, no question about it. But there are a lot of people who are preservationists who really appreciate the contemporary element of it. It's a really good example of mid-century modern architecture. And like I said,
Let
I've
me
had some
ask you-
people interested.
Let
from
me
that
ask you a
perspective.
question. On this land, who's buying these properties? Are these developers that are inquiring about these land lots and building a home, or is it an end user that's saying, "Look, I want this is where I want to be," and they're hiring their own builder?
Most of them are developers. There are a handful of end users that have been interested in it. Once again, people interested in saving the house lot on 126 Noyak Path. And we've had a couple of interested parties also as end users for
So it's
the...
a mix.
It's a mix. It's mixed. Primarily developers, but some end users.
Can I just say something? I want to educate the listeners here, because when I first looked at this offering and I saw Noyak Path, what I thought was Noyak Road.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, where could this possibly be on Noyak Road? You know? So has anyone ever been like,
Yes.
oh, Noyak Path?
Yes,
oh, it's different.
yeah. Some people have gotten confused on exactly where it is. These parcels are...
It's like it's like in an amazing location by Scuttle Hole Road, and the whole spot.
Surrounded by fields in Watermill. They're a little bit north of Head of Pond Road and a little bit south of Cook's Lane, which is really one of the most spectacular settings in all the Hamptons when you overlook Cook's Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Okay, so some great options there from Drew. Steve, let's go back to you with kind of a breakdown of the numbers, since we were talking about that a little earlier.
Yeah, great. So we've been seeing a lot of 20s going into contract every week. This week we hit a high mark. We had 32 listings that went into contract from West Hampton and Montauk. Last year was 26, so it's an increase there of 23%. And 2 years ago, 25 in 1 week. So we're looking at an increase of 28%. So a good solid week of listings going into contract. The breakdown of those 32 transactions, there was one between 15 and 20 million, one between 10 and 15 million, 5 between 5 and 10, 3 between 3 and 5, 8 between 2 and 3, 9 between 1 and 2, and 5 under a million. The dollar volume was pretty steady with $111 million in dollar volume compared to last year of $108 million. Increase there of 3%. And 2 years ago was $87 million, so increase there of 28%. And 31 new listings came on to the market. So again, over 30 coming on, which was great to see. We've been seeing it every single week. There were high 30s, even in 40s. So this obviously decreases the inventory by just one listing. But the breakdown of the 31 new listings, there was one between 15 and 20 million, 4 between 10 and 15, 3 between 5 and 10, 5 between 3 and 5, 9 between 2 and 3, 8 between 1 and 2, and one under a million. And the inventory is at 1,946 total listings, 1,495 active, and 451 in contract. So great week of data.
There you go.
Steve,
I'm happy with
your voice is a little lower and a little raspier. Well, what's going on over there?
If anyone's been watching the Knicks play basketball, you can understand why I don't have a voice. The past 2 games, they beat Boston both by 1 point. So as you can imagine, if you're a Knicks fan, you probably don't have a voice from all the cheering, yelling, and screaming. And go Knicks.
I'm starting to believe.
Yep. Exactly.
That's funny.
Dave, how about you? What do we got?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask Drew, because the weather has shifted and it's so nice out. And I was walking my dog on the beach the other day. I felt like I was in Hawaii. And just like as little as 2 weeks ago, it was like the darkest of dark. It was like miserable. And
I was in Florida
you're always wondering like what the heck am I doing here in the wintertime? And Drew, what I wanted to ask you, we were talking about it earlier, is when you have customers, prior to the break in weather, can they grasp like do you find that it's a lot easier now to sell people on Hamptons real estate versus the wintertime, or are people sophisticated and smart enough and have the foresight to say to themselves, well, maybe since everyone else, probably is going to jump on things in the spring and in the summer, I should look more actively in the winter?
I think your average person can't help but be influenced by the great weather out here. I mean, there's no question that every property out here looks a lot better in June than it does in February. That said, I think investors, people who play the game of monopoly and real estate out here in the Hamptons, I think appreciate real estate at all times of year. But again, for your average person who's buying their first property out here in the Hamptons, they can't help but be influenced by the great atmosphere and the weather out here when the weather's good.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yes. Okay. So
what do we got?
So if you have nice weather,
here's what's going on in the Hamptons. All right. So it's Mother's Day weekend.
Oh, Mother's Day weekend.
So,
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
You got to go to Hamptons.com, the #1 website in the Hamptons for lifestyle and events going on in the Hamptons, which is where I get all this information. But I am telling you, I've never seen so many Mother's Day restaurant offerings in my life. I mean, just going down the list, the Baker House, you got Fresno, you got Bell and Anchor, you got Navy Beach out in Montauk is now open, you got afternoon tea at the Baker House for Mother's Day. It's unbelievable. Just go to Hamptons.com. I kind of want to take my wife to San Ambrose on Saturday because that place is super special. But for Mother's Day this weekend, I can't choose. Just go to Hamptons.com and pick any one of these restaurants. They're all fantastic, and they all have unbelievably good specials. Great. Then there's another article on Hamptons.com that is by Shay Siegel, and it says the top 3 vineyards to go to in the Hamptons. So after you have a nice Mother's Day lunch or dinner, you could go to a vineyard after the fact, either right after lunch or I would say before dinner. So anyway, you got Wolfer Estate Vineyard is, doors are open. They're ready to rock. Channing Daughters, which a lot of people I feel like miss out here because they don't really market themselves that much. But they're in Bridgehampton, a private vineyard, super professional, super elegant, and super quiet over there. And then for a more like family-friendly place, kind of a much easier place to go to in terms of just you don't really have to make any reservations or call ahead or anything like that. You have Duckwalk Vineyards in Watermill, which is fantastic. So I guess my weekend recommendations, because everybody's going out there for Mother's Day, would be to schedule a Mother's Day lunch or dinner.
Yeah, and the weather looks great. Sunday, obviously we have some rain coming in Friday and Saturday, but Sunday the clouds are gone. The sun is out. It looks like it's going to be a 66-degree, beautiful weather day for that Sunday afternoon with your mom.
If you want one more, I'll give you this one. They're doing Jimmy Buffett Day at the Clubhouse. So this is fun for Jimmy Buffett fans or, families, but it's Jimmy Buffett Day. So you go in tropical attire and just go all out on your Jimmy Buffett gear. That's May 7th. That's May 17th. That's May 17th. Sorry. That's not this weekend, the following weekend from 1 to 5.
I went to a Jimmy Buffett concert when I was in Charlotte, and it was like an impulsive thing. Some friends were already up, like it was north of the city, and they're like, "Hey, we're going in. We can get you a ticket if you want." Like, we'll scalp a ticket or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, get me a ticket. I'll come right after work. And I was the only person at a Jimmy Buffett concert in a suit.
Wow.
Because I was dressed like, well, you can't see me now, but like, it was like button down shirt and khakis. And
I was
whatever.
like set when
people are like, who is this guy?
he was every now and then, like, an older celebrity dies and, you're like, oh, well, I was legitimately sad when he died. I felt really bad. I was like, oh, it sucks.
Timeless music. It'll live on.
He's amazing.
Drew, anything else before we let you go?
Nope. Just enjoy the weather today, and Sunday, enjoy your Mother's Day. Treat your mother well on Sunday.
That's it. Call your mom. That's it.
There you go.
All right, guys. We'll call that a podcast. Everybody have a great Thursday. I'm Andrew Dowd. That is what's happening in the Hamptons.